Welcome back, data scientists. Today we're diving into the world of Retrieval Augmented Generation to supercharge your large language models. Most of the open source models available on platforms like Hugging Face are incredibly powerful out of the box. But what if you need to tailor them to a more specific task? That's where RAG comes into play. You might be thinking, well, I was planning on fine-tuning, so why should I use RAG instead? That's a great question. At UbiOps, we've written quite a lot on that topic, and the answer is fine-tuning can be expensive and difficult to get right. RAG can be considerably simpler, cheaper, and good enough for most use cases. And when coupling RAG with open source pre-trained LLMs, you don't have to worry about losing control over your data. With that said, if you're working on a use case where your model needs to be a domain expert to be at all practical, like for a medical application, then fine-tuning is probably still the way to go. We'll be making a video on that soon. For everyone else, it's RAG time. In today's video, we'll be following along with a written tutorial to implement RAG for the Mistral 7B Instruct model, enabling it to retrieve extra context from Git documentation on UbiOps. Let's dive in. Step 1, creating a project. With your UbiOps account ready, head over to the platform and create a new project. Remember, projects help you organize your AI and machine learning activities effectively and help you monitor overall performance and credit usage instead of having to look into each deployment individually. This is also a good time to create an API token, which you'll need for the training and deployment steps coming up. You can create an API token over in the permissions section of the Project Admin tab. It only takes a few seconds. Make sure you copy the full token and save it somewhere safe. Next up, step 2, creating an environment. Let's set up a custom environment with all of our model requirements and dependencies. You can then reuse this environment anytime you want to run a similar model. It's really important to ensure your environment is set up correctly to avoid any hiccups down the line. So make sure you've picked the right base environment and included the right environment files. Step 3, creating an experiment and initiating a training run. Here's where the magic happens. You can define your training setup, load your documents, and kickstart the process of generating embeddings for your model. Remember that API token from earlier? You can feed your token into your training run without having to go in and manually write it into your code. You do this by creating an environment variable for your experiment and defining your token there. Much faster, less error-prone, and makes it easier to reuse code in the future. While the training code is running in the background, let's move on to the final step, creating the deployment. Deployments are where the action happens. You'll containerize your code, define your inputs and outputs, and create a version for your Mistral model. And since you already defined the environment variable for your API token when building your experiment, and you already created a custom code environment, you can just reuse them in the deployment in just a few clicks. Now all you need to do is create a request to send a prompt to your RAG-enabled Mistral model, or embed your model's API endpoint into an interface, and UbiOps will take care of the rest. There you have it. With just 4 simple steps, you've set up a Mistral 7B Instruct model boosted with a powerful RAG framework behind the scenes. Now you're ready to take your pre-trained LLMs to the next level, without spending bucket loads of cash on fine-tuning a GPT model, and while maintaining total control over your data. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tech tutorials and insights. Until next time, happy coding.